Okay, we are official. And, of course, we're going to talk about, I love it, math 2. Okay, so that's great. So we're going to talk, we have been talking so far about radicals. We've been talking about adding and subtracting, simplifying radicals, and then adding and subtracting radicals. And then we, yesterday, started talking about Pythagorean theorem just because it involves radicals, right? And when you find it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared, when to find your c from c squared, you have to take the square root of both sides. And suddenly you've got c is equal to a radical, right? It's a radical idea, isn't it? It's awesome. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the same thing, Pythagorean theorem, but with word problems. And the key with word problems with these is you have to be able to draw you have to draw it out. You want to always sketch it out. You want to sketch the triangle and which sides did they give you. Okay? So I do not have time because of the time to write this all down. So I think I'm going to do this fairly I'm going to figure out a way to do this quickly. I'm going to read it to you first, okay? So here it is. Your boat. I love boats. I'm a sailor. I grew up as a sailor on Lake Ontario. Someday I should tell you some stories, because there's some amazing stories about sailing. Yeah, oh, that's my lecture. Sorry. Okay, back to my lecture. Okay, your boat is traveling. I love sailing, I'm sorry. But, okay, your boat is traveling due north from a dock. Okay, I'm going to draw my dock.
Oh, I could draw
okay?
a better.
So, boat. Boat, due north. And this is my boat. My boat. My boat going due north. Okay? So if this is the water, right? That's the water. Here's north, right? Because north is always up. Okay? And I travel for 20 miles. I travel for 20 miles. Right? 20 miles. And then it says, your friend's boat left at the same time from the same dock.
Wait, what's the name of the slideshow?
Oh, I'm sorry. The name, I usually do that, don't I? So, Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem.
Oh my god, and is your friend traveling
word
east?
Problems.
Is your friend traveling east? Triangle?
That's the lecture.
Probably.
Your friend is traveling east, right?
Yes.
That way. And he travels for 25 miles.
Yeah, and of course you move exactly straight north.
Right.
Yeah.
They have compasses. Compasses on boats. Oh, like I could make this lecture even more fun if I did this. Why not? Like when you're like on Lake Ontario, like when you leave, we used to often we would sail across the lake to Toronto, and so from Rochester, New York. Actually, we left from a place called Sodus Bay, and we crossed the lake. When you actually cross Lake Ontario, it's huge, and you will be out of sight of land for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. So like it feels like you're in the ocean. Because there's literally no land anywhere. Even on a clear day, and you can see for miles and miles, you can't see land anywhere. And so you don't know where you're going, right? I mean, you could easily be off a little bit. So you have a compass, and you're actually all you're doing. You're just you're at the wheel or at the tiller, whichever one you've got, and you're just looking at the compass, and you're trying to go 330 degrees, or something, and sometimes you're right on, but then sometimes you're going 320 degrees. Just because the waves jostle the boat around a little bit, and then sometimes you're going 340 degrees. But the idea is that if you're aiming for 330 degrees, you'll be over as many times as you'll be under. So ideally, you'll be going 330 after it's all over. You see what I mean? Even though you're really going like this, right? But in general, your overall direction is 330 degrees. So that's how you would do it. Even though he probably was not going due, I was not going due north the whole time. Sometimes I was going a little west of north and sometimes a little east of north. And he was going a little north of east and a little south of east. whatever, eventually, hopefully, in a perfect scenario, which is what we talk about here in math, we are going due north and due east. 20 miles. Now,
how far apart we are?
After I have traveled this far, I get a phone call.
Oh.
This guy has his phone and I have a phone too. I don't know, like a ship-to-ship like thing, right? And he says, "Oh my gosh, my engine has died. Will you come rescue me? Rescue me!" So, how far will I have to travel to rescue him? I'm going to go
like that.
There.
No,
so, what are they asking me to find? They're asking me to find the c, find the distance. So it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I go 20 squared plus 25 squared equals c squared. So what's 20 squared?
400.
400. Does anybody know what 25 squared is?
500.
I think it's 625.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Equals c squared. So that's going to be 1025
equals c squared.
Equals c squared.
Jesus, what is the square root of that?
Now we've got to do. Thank you for your commentary.
It's 15.
We have to take the square root of both sides.
Wait, that's not right.
That tells me that c. I'm going to put my c over here. C is equal to. You know, I don't know what that is, and I wonder if I have a calculator. Does anybody have a calculator?
I have a calculator.
I could. I know I could take a 25 out of this, right? I could simplify it, but I'd almost rather just use a calculator. So press. So what is the square root of 1025?
Wait, no, 32.0156.
Okay, 32.0156.
01562.
All right, 32.02. 32.02. Now, is that exact? Is that an exact answer?
So if you squared that, you wouldn't get.
Right, because she said it was 32.015. Blah 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 blah. Went on forever, right? So I can't say that c equals that.
So you have to put approximately.
Yes. How do I do approximately?
That weird little squiggly thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Squiggly.
All right, and then we're talking miles, right?
Or you could like divide it by.
So that would be my answer.
Squiggly. Can't you just round it up?
Now,
you could divide it by. You could divide it by 25. That thing, that very large number.
Yes, you could to simplify it exactly, and you could. It would just take a little while because it's such a big number. So that's basically how I do it. All the homework, all the well, not all the problems. Most of them are like that. You just have to draw your sketch. I would recommend that for each problem you draw the sketch, draw the triangle. Okay, I made them. Yeah. And the only other thing that's on there, I think, is I don't need this lecture anymore, right? So I'm gonna turn this.